Hey, Rifters, welcome to the show. Subscribe, rate, review. Uh, Tell a friend. I apologize. I feel a little lost. I just got a notification on the Zoom saying Al. You could type in your questions on Al, which, yeah, I think they mean AI, but it's spelled Al. Anyways, we got a great show today. I'm very excited. Oh, I just think that's so funny. AI, I always thought was spelled A dot I, but on the Zoom it's spelled Al. Maybe it's a capital I. Maybe. Anyways, we got a great show. Colleen Camp is going to be here. You've seen her in Death Game. You've seen her in Wayne's World, Police Academy, Die Hard, my favorite movie, Clue, and it's going to be fun, guys. So thanks for sticking around. If you like the show, subscribe, review, tell a friend. We're trying to get to more reviews on the Apple podcast. So that's what we got to do. All right, guys, enjoy the show. Enjoy Razor Wrist with Colleen Camp.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Perfect. And then we'll figure out.
All right, Rifters, welcome to the show. The great Colleen Camp is here. Colleen, you're a very busy lady. Thank you so much for letting me interview you today.
Oh, I'm so excited. And I'm laughing because I said I have to get my hair blown dry during the interview. I don't know how we're going to do that, but we'll figure it out. But you were so sweet last night when I called. I had just gone to the Priscilla premiere and I loved it so much.
Oh my
It was
God.
so good.
So you
And
recommend
I
it
was
to the
so
folks
tired.
at home?
Oh, I do. I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was excellent. Priscilla Presley was there and she's an old friend of mine. And it was great seeing the movie. And I just loved it.
All
And it
right.
was really nice because I've known Sophia since she was a baby.
Oh my gosh.
And you look wonderful and rested. And I look like I just put my finger in a light socket.
Oh no, you look beautiful to me. So
Oh, honey.
that's all that matters, right?
Thank you.
Of
Yes.
course. Well, I wanted to just jump right into it, and these questions might go like ping ponging a little because I dropped all my cards. So when I picked them up, they might be like in reverse order. But
Well, that's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. Because I have not actually looked at the questions. So I don't
that's
know the order.
excellent.
So
Yes. Element of surprise. I love that. So the first question is about Death Game, which I think is it's like a really unique horror type film. And then I heard that you wrote it, and I wanted to know, like, did they tell you what to write, or was it an original idea, or like how did you come up with that? Because you also starred in it.
well, I love the fact that it was said I wrote it. I improvised a lot in it. The original movie was called Mrs. Manning's Weekend. And originally the project was owned by Malpaso. And it was written by a woman named Jo Himes, who had written Play Misty for me. And that was Clint Eastwood's first film that he directed, Play Misty for me. And so this was a property of Malpaso. And there was a producer named Larry Spiegel, and Larry Spiegel and Peter Trainer, the director of Death Game or Mrs. Manning's Weekend, which it was originally called. And there was another writer that actually I had known about that wrote the original, and it was him that we called, and it was actually him that we called when we were trying to do the remake, because Eli Roth happened to see the movie And he called me up. I'll never forget it. It was Valentine's Day. And on Valentine's Day, he basically, called me up and said, I got to do this movie. It's brilliant. You're amazing. It's incredible. And I said, you know, the original writers that were on that screenplay were someone named Anthony Overman and Michael Ronald Ross. I guess the doorbell's ringing. No, that's somewhere. Oh, someplace else.
Is that the blow dryer?
No, I want that blow dryer though. Let me tell you something. If we didn't make such crazy sound, at some point, maybe during pauses, I could use the blow dryer. Just to make sure Miriam gets the information to meet me at 11:30. But okay. But the funny thing is, no, it's just a rat-a-tat-tat. I was so tired last night that I literally said, I'm checking into a hotel so I don't drive. But what happened on that is Sandra Locke and I and Seymour Cassell did a lot of improvisation. And so a lot of the things that are in there were things we were kind of improvising on the spot. And we changed a lot of the things that were in the script. Not that the script wasn't there and the basic premise, the basic plot and all of that. And it was very well written. But because Sandra had just finished doing a movie called The Heart is the Lonely Hunter, she was nominated for an Academy Award. And Seymour was doing all those Cassavetes films, including Faces, which he was, I think, also nominated for at the time. We had this very tight crew, and Jack, this was the production designer, Sissy Spacek and Bill Paxton did the props. And it was a very artistic environment. And so we just were open to a lot of improvisation. And so a lot of the dialogue, that came out was just improvised by Sandra and I on the spot. And so I can't claim that I'm Steve Zalian,
right?
But we did do a lot, and it was a fantastic opportunity to work with brilliant actors. And it was that Eli Roth called me out of the blue on Valentine's Day, literally Valentine's Day 2014, and said, I've seen this movie, we need to do a remake and I want to do it right now. And he put his girlfriend on the phone, Lorenzo Izzo, and they said, we want to do this. And I said, no, you can't. You have to do a project that I have with David O. Russell called The Hive. And you have to do a little polish on it. You promised you were going to do the polish. And he was hell-bent on doing a remake of Death Game, which later became Knock Knock with Lorenza, Keanu Reeves. And then I put Ana de Armas into that film, playing my part. So that's how that all happened. Wow. And then Knock Knock was made in 2014. We did it in, April, May, beginning of June 2014.
Yeah, I saw them both, and I thought I thought Knock Knock was a good because usually when they do remakes, they're kind of not really, you know what I mean? I thought Knock Knock had the point pretty.
Yes. And I had in front of me, but I don't know where it is, a whole bunch of stationery and pens. And I just wanted to get a pen because and I don't know what happened to it. Sorry, Leanne is walking through the background.
Oh, hi, Leanne.
I had to set everything.
Hi, how are you?
Leanne is amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's so cool. You have 7 assistants. I mean, I was an assistant once and I hated it.
Listen, I'm still an assistant. I always say if you have a brilliant assistant, you could run a studio. It's all about detail. And if you don't have detail, or if you don't know how to ask the right questions, or you don't anticipate Murphy's Law, but actually, I have people that are in different positions with me, whether it's development or whether it's helping, organize my house, or whether it's scheduling. But as you well know, as a former assistant, if you're not able to be adept at anything that comes up, it's like recently I produced a movie with Rebel Wilson, and the medic on the set I said, well, we've got to get somebody here. She's, I think, injured herself in a martial arts move doing and I accidentally called it numb nuts. And they said, no, it's nunchucks or whatever that is. And I said, yeah, great producer here, right? She got hurt doing numb nuts. They said, no, Colleen. Anyway, they said, it's a Sunday. There's no way we can get a doctor here. And I said, well, you're a medic. You don't think there's a way we can get a doctor here? She said, no, it's a Sunday. I said, I've never been here and I don't know a doctor or anyone in the state of Georgia, but I will have an orthopedic surgeon here in 30 minutes.
Oh my God.
And I did, because it's just being resourceful. And when you're producing something, you have to anticipate everything and you have to be willing to figure out a solution to something as opposed to, no, it can't happen.
Yeah.
And I know, so were you a good assistant?
I think I was, only because the person I assisted was my best friend. So, so yeah. And I mean, and I did stand up with him and stuff. So like, I was his opener. So I thought it was, that was perfect.
Well, you probably gave him great material.
I mean, more like he gave me great material, but I mean,
isn't that fantastic? I can't wait. Now, immediately, where are you performing now in Los Angeles, obviously?
Yeah, I'm gonna be there Friday, actually, at the Ice House.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is very funny. I'm supposed to show a movie on Friday that I produced that was in Venice this year in competition, called The Day of the Fight with Michael Pitt. And it was written and directed by the brilliant Jack Huston, who was a natural born director. And it's kind of an homage to Stanley Kubrick's documentary of the same name, The Day of the Fight. And otherwise, I'd be at that ice house with, polar bear coat on. I mean, I would be literally, I would be there. But I'm showing this movie because we're in the process of finding the right distribution company for it. And I like this company, Wonder Hill, which is this new company I'm involved in. And I just think the movie is incredible. And Jack Huston has done an extraordinary job. But Michael Pitt, do you know who that is? Michael Pitt, he was in Boardwalk Empire. He was in a movie called The Dreamer. He's amazing in this movie. It's like a Brando type performance. It was, it was interesting last night when I was watching Elvis, as a weird segue. I knew that Elvis was obsessed.
That was Brando. A great movie, though.
Oh, I loved it. Elvis was obsessed with Brando, and it touched upon that a little bit last night. And
you got to work with him too.
I did in Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
I got to work with him in Apocalypse Now, and I got to have dinner with him at Casa Bacon restaurant because my ex-boyfriend, who I met on Apocalypse Now, Dean Tavares, who's a brilliant, brilliant production designer. Marlon Brando absolutely loved Dean Tavares.
Yeah.
So I had the honor of seeing him in the Philippines and out of the Philippines.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Well, I wanted to ask you about Clue, because I think Clue is probably one of the funniest movies ever.
I agree. I agree with you completely.
And I wanted to ask you, and maybe it's just me because but you were the star in it, but like, do you think that Clue worked because it was more like, it seemed like it was more play, like the jokes were ping-ponging and it wasn't really a movie. You know what I mean?
I think it works, but unfortunately at the time, no one saw it. I mean, it was not a hit. And I feel we should have had more previews. The movie, they were supposed to release, or Paramount was supposed to release at the time, a movie called The Two Jakes. And that was the sequel to Chinatown, and that got pushed. So instead, they released Clue, and then they did the multiple endings. And what was really surprising to me, because I thought the film is absolutely brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
And Jonathan Lynn is beyond brilliant. And I did another movie with him called Greedy. And the genius of that movie is it had that banter. And as you pointed out, and what Jonathan Lynn did is that when we all started the film, our first day of rehearsal, he said, I want you to all see a film, which I'd seen many times because it was a Howard Hawks film called His Girl Friday. And he said, I need you to see this film so that you'll understand the kind of cadence, the overlapping, the style and tone. And the movie, we all watched the movie together in the Paramount Theater. It was a small little theater at the time. And, 1985. And Eileen Brennan said, after the movie's over, you got to tell this was before the method. Because you can't be, contemplating. It's not like you can't have a Brando moment for 10 minutes. You have to just answer and listen, and you have to be on top of each other. And that rhythm, as you know, in comedy is not an easy thing to do. No. And so I think the reason the movie is held up so brilliantly is that, and why it's considered such an intelligent film, is of that banter, of that rhythm. And it's extremely it's brilliant. It holds up. Yeah. And I heard last night from this guy at the premiere, they're doing a re-release of the
re-release. Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and I said of the movie, and he said, well, of the DVD. I said, well, why are they doing a re-release of the movie?
Yeah,
because I think that movie would be I think it's an incredible.
I would love to see it in theaters.
I would too.
Yeah.
And I know they sometimes show it like as a midnight, like Rocky Horror Picture Show, like they do show it like that, but I think it's brilliant. I really do.
I also like
Jonathan Lynn also.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I also like it because everyone in the movie is like equally funny. And I think Tim Curry had no clue he was funny. You know what I mean?
What you just said is spot on and equally funny, and everyone gave everybody their moment, and the actors were predisposed to just loving the talent of the other actors. I mean, when Madeline Kahn did the flames, everybody applauded after. When Eileen Brennan was trying to get the feather out of her face, I mean, and when I was doing that scene with Martin Mull and Michael McKean, they go, but this is dark upstairs, and I'm frightened of the dark. Will anyone go with me? I will. No, thank you. I mean, it was just the timing. You just can't even imagine the genius of that timing. And I live for that. I love timing. And I like kind of surreal, kind of crazy things anyway. But it was, and Jonathan Lynn did a movie called Greedy as well with Phil Hartman and Michael J. Fox and Kirk Douglas. And I remember when Phil Hartman, we were sitting there, God bless his soul, and we were holding these stupid umbrellas, and it was raining, and we're having a big confrontation. And we're talking to Michael J. Fox, and Phil goes, I don't like the Beatles, and I don't like you. It's just it's so random, It's like, I love random humor where you say things that are tangential, that are really, really funny.
You're gonna love my stand-up then. I'm gonna send you my special so you could just
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Randomness is catnip.
Yeah. I did have one more question about Clue, and it doesn't really have to do with the movie. It has to do with something you did, and I wanted to know if that was just like a spot-on decision or if that was in the script. Like when you're introduced, you're all dancing and cleaning the
Oh, and I lifted up my that I was I was just doing that myself.
But you blew on the glass after you cleaned it.
Oh, that was me. John, I blew on the glass. Yeah, exactly. Yes, 100%.
I just thought that was just so funny.
Well, and also I remember I sat down at one point and I lifted my skirt all the way up.
Yeah.
And I thought, I love that. Thank you. But Jonathan Lynn was very, I thought Madonna, because Madonna wanted the part and Jennifer Jason Leigh, they wanted for the part. And I felt I really wanted the part. And my manager at the time said, they want Jennifer Jason Leigh, Madonna wants the part, Demi Moore wants the part. I don't know how true any of that is, but I do know that I went in a French maid's outfit and I just created a character, and I really got cast that day. It was very, very excited.
Yeah,
Um, I love that.
that's
I'm
awesome.
very, very lucky. I've been lucky because, you know, in movies like, say, Valley Girl, for example, I was I went sadly to Frederick Forrest Memorial on Sunday, and I was sitting next to Lawrence Fishburne, who I met on the set, obviously, of Apocalypse Now, and it was through Apocalypse Now that I met Frederick Forrest. And I remember that when my very dear friend Martha Coolidge was directing Valley Girl, uh, I was saying this to Fred Roos last night because Fred Roos was the producer of Apocalypse. And of course, he was the producer last night of Sofia Coppola's Priscilla. And so it all comes full circle. And we were talking about the genius of Nick Cage in Valley Girl. We were doing all the rehearsals at my house on Valley Girl. I knew Nick Cage through Apocalypse Now. I knew Martha Coolidge through Fred Roos because Fred Roos introduced me to Martha Coolidge because she was going to do a movie for Zoetrope called Photoplay, and she wanted Bruce Springsteen. And so the connections are so intense. And I think that I feel very lucky that I happen to be in situations with movies like Valley Girl and Wayne's World, Clue, and even Wicked Stepmother, movies that, and even The Game of Death, the Bruce Lee movie, only I would star in a movie opposite Bruce Lee after he's dead.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Kenny Turan wrote an article, I Made Love with a Dead Man. It was
You do a
in New
lot of
West.
movies with the title Game and Death in it.
Yeah, that's right. Game of Death, Death Game, Deadly Games. I
Yeah.
did a movie called Deadly Games with Stephen Railsback. Uh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But I look back, and sometimes you don't know at the time that you're doing something that actually hits a chord. And I saw Valley Girl recently, and I said, "This movie is incredible.
Yeah.
It's just incredible."
I think it's
And
one of the best romantic comedies.
I agree.
Yeah.
And brilliant. And Freddie Forrest, they showed his scene at the memorial. That's why I bring it up, where he has the conversation with his daughter, my daughter, Deborah Foreman. And it's so moving because she's asking him about, well, I like, they all want me to be, with, Michael Bowen. But I like Nick Cage. And
Yeah.
what do I do? Because my friends want me to be with Michael Bowen.
Yeah.
But
But the
I
heart
like,
wants to go with Nick Cage.
yeah. He
Yeah.
said, well, so it's a really great scene. Freddie is brilliant. I love it when she takes a look at some picture. He goes, look, this is a picture of me, when I was young. Your mother still is. And then he's covering up the pictures. He's very funny. Brilliant actor, Freddie Forrest. Brilliant actor.
So I have a feeling this question is going to make you laugh because it's kind of stupid. But in My Blue Heaven, did you realize Rick Moranis had a point about eating pancakes?
I love that movie. I had just had my daughter. I don't know about the pancakes, but I do know one thing. I was very
With the
lucky.
syrup on the bottom and then on the
Of
top.
course. All I know is that Herbert Ross, who always has, Herbert Ross is brilliant, brilliant, Herbert Ross. I was fortunately cast by him and his wife, Nora Kay, in a movie called Funny Lady.
Yeah.
And I was 19, and I went in for the audition, and they were both auditioning me. And they said it was the scene where Fanny Bryce comes into the room, and I'm with James Caan in bed. God rest his soul. And she said, and I go, oh, you're Fanny Bryce, like all excited. She said, can you do it with it? I don't even care that I'm in bed or compromised. I'm just thrilled that I'm seeing a star. And so she said, can you do it with an accent? And I said, oh my God, are you Fanny Bryce? Oh, I could just die laughing, whatever. She goes, yeah, but you laugh so hard, you fall out of bed.
Yeah.
And so then later, Herbert Ross asked me to come in, and I just had my daughter. He said, will you play the wife of Rick Moranis in My Blue Heaven. It's a brief. It's brief,
Yeah.
but then I learned about the pancakes. But I'm glad you know what? That movie, what Rick Moranis. I mean,
Yeah.
and what a cast that movie was.
Oh yeah, definitely. Joan Cusack and Steve Martin and
Oh yeah.
yeah. I'm more of a fan of Joan Cusack, but
Oh, she's brilliant.
but
She's brilliant.
but yeah, I like that's the type of movies I like is where the jokes just keep coming. You know what I
They
mean?
just keep coming.
Yeah.
They keep coming. And then you see Joan Cusack. I love her in the movie Working Girl. Everything she does, and
It's
of course
great. Yeah.
Adam's Family, everything she does, she's so brilliant. But I like it when the jokes keep coming.
Yeah. And then speaking of a movie where the jokes keep coming, you had a scene in one of these movies called Rat Race, which was great.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Jerry Zucker, Whoopi Goldberg. I love Rat Race. And I was very instrumental actually in that movie being at Paramount because my ex-husband, John Goldwyn, was at Paramount at the time. And I was part of a production company called Seven Arts. And Jerry and Janet Zucker, who are wonderful friends of mine, and Jerry is an absolute genius director.
Yeah.
There was a number of people competing to do that film. And I was part of this production company. And I happened to have the script, and that production company ended up being part of that movie. And I mean, I didn't produce it or anything like that, but I was always, recommending certain things. And that movie, I think, is brilliant. John Lovitz, I mean,
Dave Thomas, yeah. I mean, when I interviewed Dave Thomas, he told me Rat Race was probably a movie where they probably put most of the improvs in compared to the script because he said that his lines was completely improv and they filmed like 30 different things. And he said they went with the one that was improv. So I thought that was kind of fun.
well, yeah, Dave Thomas. In fact, I was in another movie with Dave Thomas.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm trying to think if they ever changed the title on it, but it was called Who's Your Daddy? And Who's Your Daddy? And Andy Fickman directed it.
oh,
And it was a very funny movie. And I'm looking at this thing right now. And I don't understand why I don't see the name Dave Thomas here, but I'm pretty sure he was in this. But this doesn't make any sense. Leanne, I know Dave Thomas was in Who's Your Daddy, and it's making me crazy.
we could call him right now. Get him on the phone.
I mean, I'm telling you, this is making me nuts because I hope he didn't take his name off the picture, or unless I am senile. I don't. I'm sure it was Who's Your Daddy because it was done in like 2002. Like, this is crazy. Wait, what is the movie?
Brandon Davis.
Why does it say he's not in this film?
Well, sometimes people do movies and then they get like what's that word? Uncredited or whatever.
Yes. Well, that's really worrying me because I don't understand why it doesn't say.
Yeah, Dave Thomas.
He is in it.
Yeah.
Yes, he is in it.
Hmm.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I believed you.
Really
I was
worried
just
me.
saying.
Well, I just got concerned because he played my husband, so I just got a little worried. I got concerned mentally. I always pride myself for a very sharp wit. It's
Yeah.
like when somebody said, "Are you sure Bruce Lee was dead when you did the Game of Death?" I said, "I'm positive." I said, because my agent said he wouldn't upstage me. I said, that isn't necessarily a Toronto movie, but I love doing that movie. But it was kind of a strange thing because I've been offered a part in Animal House, and Mary Lou Weller ended up doing the part, and I chose Game of Death. And they said, why would you choose something where, the person is dead? I said, because Bruce Lee's an icon. He's a star.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I said, I have to work with him. It's kind of like me falling in love with Steve Jobs 2 years after he died. And
No,
I'm not
definitely.
technical. My daughter, I said, I'm in love with Steve Jobs. And my daughter said, Mom, he changed the world. And she said, I said, I don't know how to use an iPhone, but he thinks exactly like me. I was crying every 5 minutes over Steve Jobs. They said, did you meet him? I said, no. I, so I don't know.
I'm the same
So
way. I mean, if I ever like do a movie and like, they said, "Oh, John Cusack did a scene, but he died," I'd be like, "I'm still doing that movie."
yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. And I was with. It's very interesting because I'm just passionate about talent.
Yeah,
I love talent, and does someone that's talented, and I'm just passionate, and it's been very I've been very lucky to work with some amazing people.
yeah,
You asked a question that I'm looking at right now, which is really interesting because you said, did you know Apocalypse Now is going to be as big as it was? Uh, I can actually tell you that on many movies that I've done, whether it's
uh-huh.
Wayne's World or Apocalypse or Clue or Valley Girl or Police Academy, kind of seminal films, at the time, I don't think I understood the weight of how they would impact the world. I remember going to the Apocalypse Now premiere. It took about 10 minutes to get dressed. I just was dropped off at the Cinerama Dome. It was a very different time. And I also believe that I thought, like Death Game, I said, oh my God, this part in this movie is going to make my career.
Yeah.
And no one saw it at the time. I think They All Laughed, which is one of my favorite films. And I was so honored to work with Peter Bogdanovich 3 times. And I said, oh my God, I got great reviews in this. Everyone's going to see it. And they didn't really at the time. So you just never know what is that thing. And then later, Quentin Tarantino said it was his favorite movie of Peter Bogdanovich's, but you never know, obviously, at the time,
The
like
impact of these
the
choices.
impact. I mean, like, I don't know if anyone saw Screwball Academy or Goose, but
I
you
saw it.
just
No.
never very. I'm glad you did because that makes me happy that you. I like seeing things that are very obscure, and uh, I I would have to say that when you said if you went back in a time machine and talked to a young Colleen Camp and tell her what you know now, I would tell her that you just never. Steve Jobs said, follow the dots backwards. You never know what is that thing
Yeah.
that will change your life, or that I did a memorial for Freddie Forrest and asked him to do the part in Valley Girl. And I knew him from Apocalypse Now. And I met Fred Bruce through a movie called Smile with that Jerry Belson wrote and Michael Ritchie directed. And then I met Martha Coolidge. And then I did Valley Girl with her and Three Wishes and Joy of Sex, and how all these relationships were interconnected. And I think today that people they don't always know that there are no small parts. You could
Yeah.
do one line in a movie. Like Rebel Wilson had one line in Bridesmaids, and she took that and made an opportunity of it.
Yeah.
And most people are very stuck on a title or the size of something, and they're not looking at how they can create an opportunity from it. And
No,
so I always felt like that. I always had the attitude that I would create an opportunity no matter how big or small a part was. I always felt like that. But what I didn't know always is that the thing that I would be doing could actually change the planet. Entertainment can change the planet. I was very lucky to work on a movie called Parasite, more in a kind of strategic capacity. And when you said, what do you choose as a producer to do? Because I've
I was
been very
about to
fortunate
ask
to work.
that one. That was the last one I had. I actually wanted to ask you
Um,
that though. Wait, Colleen, when you read scripts for you to produce, what do you like look for? What draws you into wanting to do it?
I absolutely love true stories. And when I produced Above Suspicion with Amelia Clark and Jack Houston, I absolutely love true stories. I love anything that hits an emotional chord. It could be funny. I have a movie that I want to make called Parent Wars, which is based on my experience helping get my daughter into preschool. And it's just the antics are insane,
Yeah.
and um and they're absurd. It's on a level, but it happened. And there's a fine line between comedy and drama. And so I love the idea of how you're pushed to the limit. And I love morality tales, whether they're funny or they're dramatic or both. I always think that I like to do things. I love Bride Hard. It was brought to me. It wasn't something I developed, but I just love the idea because it's Bridesmaids meets Die Hard.
Yeah.
But I love true stories, and I also love situations where, what if this happened? What if you knocked on the door of somebody's house and tried to seduce them and they're married, and you're going to get it? You're going to get There's a
Yeah.
morality tale, and the girls
You're
get
gonna
it.
have one night of fun and then the weekend of hell.
That's right. And I produced Day of the Fight, and it was based on a documentary, but also on a true story. And then I just did a little movie called Here's Yanni, and it's a wonderful little movie, and it's a true story about this Greek diner owner that gets Alzheimer's, dementia. And I like things that resonate with me emotionally. I think that when I work on a movie in a more marketing capacity that I'm not producing, whether it's Parasite or, I did some stuff on Everywhere All at Once, and it's an emotional connection to something.
Yeah.
And it could be Crazy Rich Asians. I said to Michelle Yeoh, "Oh my God, that mahjong scene! I don't even know how to play mahjong," and I was hysterical. She said, "Well, wait till you see Everywhere All at Once." I like something that hits me emotionally, and
Yeah.
so if I'm choosing something as a producer, that's what I like. Whether it's a comedy, whether I thought that Jim Carrey in Liar Liar was so brilliant in this, specifically in the scene. Not only are the very brilliant, funny scenes that are impossible to do, but when he tells this kid he's not lying anymore, and it's after I think 8 o'clock or something, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not lying anymore. So he's so brilliant in that scene, and so I like things that are real.
Brilliant like that. Well, Colleen, well, one thing before I let you go, I wanted you to know that you're absolutely right. Like I I think it's good that people know that, even the little things that when you do at a time, like when you did Clue, no one saw it, but now everyone see it. And I think I learned that just with stand up. Like I may never be a big name, but I interview my heroes. So to me, I feel I'm successful. And
Well, you're already a big name,
oh,
and you never ever know what situation will put you into another situation.
I guess I was
And
trying to say you're
I
my
can't
hero.
wait. Well, you are my hero now, and I can't wait to see your stand up. You've got to be performing another night besides this Friday where I'm showing the Day of the Fight. I'm going to come and see you because you are hilarious.
All right. Well, Colleen, where can the folks at home follow and support you, or do you not want to be followed or like social media?
You believe it or not, I do not. I'm not kidding you. I do not have any social media. I know that's probably insane. I don't even have an Uber app. I was literally saying to somebody, I've got to get there. Do you have an Uber app? I do not have a social media. I want them to follow me, and I don't even have social media.
Uh,
I don't have any I don't know why. I don't I said to somebody the other day, can we post this? We're at this restaurant. I said, why do I want somebody to know I'm in a restaurant? I said, what's the draw to saying I'm eating a hamburger? I don't understand it. I came from a world where there was no computers, no fax machines, and it's not like I'm Norma Desmond, but I don't understand. It's a very interesting thing because social media, my daughter's a brilliant writer, and She was in the Sunday company of the Groundlings, and she
I
told
went to
me,
the Groundlings.
"You're kidding me." Emily
Yeah.
Goldwyn. Emily
Uh,
Goldwyn. She wrote on Aquafina's show. She wrote Smilf. She wrote Amy
I
Schumer's
went there
last
like
show.
I went there
She,
like 8 years ago. So
yeah, that's probably Emily. Were
really,
you in the
wow.
Sun? Were you in the Sunday company? She was in the Sunday company.
Yeah, no, I was at the classes. Like they taught you Fridays and Saturdays, and then you get on the weekend shows or something if you were
Yeah,
good. I wasn't
she.
good.
Oh, I don't know about that. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds said, "Oh my God, your daughter was in the Sunday company. That's huge."
That is
Um,
huge. Yeah.
she's brilliant. She's brilliant. But we were talking about social media, and during COVID, she wasn't like a huge social media person, but she went off social media. And I said, "Well, why?" She said, "Because it makes you feel badly about yourself." I said, "Well, I thought it was supposed to make you feel good about yourself." She said, "But you sometimes you're looking at things that aren't really real, what people have to put out, and there's a huge expectation." I said, "I never had to deal with any of that because
Yeah.
you didn't have that as a bar. You
Yeah.
only had your work as a bar. You didn't have what other people thought of you as a bar." And it's a very interesting thing. So you can see I'm very dated.
I get it though. I mean that's why I just release audio and I don't release video because I'm so self-conscious about my looks, but I think I have a sexy voice.
Oh, you're very sexy all over. I wouldn't be concerned.
Oh, excellent. Well, Colleen, I want to
Thank
respect your
you.
time and I know you got some stuff to do, but thank you so much for rifting with
Thank you. It
me.
was great. Great. And we're going to be in touch. And thank you so, so much. It's a great experience. And I'm going to get my hair done in 15 minutes. So it's perfect.
All right. Well, have a great
Thank
day
you.
and have keep bringing smiles to people. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye
All right.
bye.
Bye.
Bye. I'll
And
turn this off, and I don't know how.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.